Hey everybody, it's Chainsaw Reacts. Today I'm here to review Metallica's 11th studio album titled 72 Seasons. I definitely have a lot of things to say, so I'm not going to waste time. Let's dive in, let's talk about it. It's been a long time since we've had new music from Metallica. Of course, the last official full release from the band in terms of a full album was Hardwired to Self-Destruct back in 2016. I remember reviewing that album, covering all the songs and reacting to all of them and having a great time and going through the entirety in terms of after the singles and the rest of the songs as it did for 72 Seasons. So I was hoping that maybe we would get a new album sooner, but unfortunately that's not the case. So now with 72 Seasons, we get to see, okay, where's the band at now? Like, are they going to be making any significant changes from Hardwired to this album in terms of pacing of songs, amount of songs, the length of songs? And I would say the one main change, even though it's not too much of a change, because let's be honest, besides Hardwired to Self-Destruct and Spit Out the Bone from the 2016 release, those are the fast songs. Everything else is kind of in that mid to slow range tempo. And on here for 72 Seasons, 72 Seasons is the song with the most fast paced stuff. There are some other songs with some faster riffs, but the majority of the album is in the lines of Hardwired to Self-Destruct and the Black Album, Reload type stuff. And for me, I'm perfectly fine with that. And I'll tell you why. Because I've said this for quite some time. Metallica does not need to put out fast material anymore. They don't need to. Why? Number one, they've already done it so much. And number two, they've already proven with past releases, like I mentioned, the Black Album, Load, Reload, Hardwired, that they come up with slower, mid-range tempo songs. We don't need constant, fast-paced stuff. It's already throughout their discography. They're getting up in age as well. Another big point, that writing a bunch of fast songs for an album, are they going to be able to sustain that live when they're performing other material from previous records at live shows? Their answer is, you would probably get less of those fast stuff at the live shows. And you'd be like, well, why don't they play this song and this song? Well, because they wrote it really fast for the studio, but when you actually go play it live, they have other stuff they have to cover, and at some point it becomes too much. They've already cut down to 16 songs per live show. It was 18. Now it's down to 16 each show. So, yeah, they can't keep doing the fast stuff all the time. But in terms of this album, it is exactly what I was expecting. Now, at the same time, I do wish at moments 72 Seasons had more variation. And what I mean by that is, in the middle section of Inamorata, there's a beautiful section of clean guitar, and James switches up his singing slightly for that clean guitar, and it's a really great moment, some great bass from Rob. I think there should be more of that. I think there should be more of that on this album. That's something that I kind of wish there was. I wish there was a ballad. Now, you could say, even though it's not a ballad, Inamorata is kind of a ballad, kind of, with that middle section, and of course all the harmonizing stuff, and some great just lead moments, and some great, just lead stuff, guitar solo-wise, or harmonized stuff. And there's a lot of harmonizing stuff throughout the record, but there isn't a ballad. Now, some people are fine with that. And for me, overall, we have a lot of ballads from Metallica, so it is what it is. But I kind of wish we still had one, or at least more clean guitar sections within this album to maybe add some more variety. Something I noticed as well is, this is something we've actually all noticed for a while. Lars has some interesting drum moments throughout the record, but not a lot. A lot of it is more on the simpler side of the drum patterns, and I get it. He's the one having to sit behind the kit and use his entire body to play everything with the bass drums and the hi-hat, and the snare, toms, all the cymbals. So at a certain point, after you've done so much variety of stuff within the studio for previous albums, at a certain point, how much more variation can you get without it being too ridiculous? Or can he still, could he play really intricate stuff live if he puts it on the studio version? You know what I'm saying? That's always been a question of, well, why does Lars do certain drum fills and a lot of double bass on songs that he can't perform live for the most part? And it's like, on this, double bass is hardly in it. It's in there a little bit, but not a lot. And so the drum patterns are more simplistic. Some people say it's a negative. I kind of wish there was more variation, but at the same time, it doesn't take me too out of the album. Now, with all that being said, I really love a lot of this album. I really do. I really love what the band was able to do with these songs, especially with the harmonizing sections and the catchiness of the choruses and Kirk's guitar solos. because that's something that people have mentioned quite a bit about the guitar solos of Kirk in the past, and especially now on this album with the singles leading up to it, where Kirk's solos were kind of getting a lot of negative criticism. Something I would respond with is saying that Kirk doesn't need to be going blistering fast on guitar solos for songs that don't need it. Because imagine if we got to the song, for example, You Must Burn, which is track number 5, which is a slower paced song, heavy as hell. And I think the guitar solo works for that. But imagine if he was constantly just shredding, going crazy all over the damn guitar, and playing a solo like he would back on Master of Puppets for You Must Burn. It would feel jarring. It wouldn't make any sense. Now, I know not everybody's asking for blistering guitar solos. There are times where he does some really fast stuff on there in terms of guitar solo sections, but he does have some variety. I think the singles did a disservice to what he actually does on the rest of the songs in terms of guitar solos. There were some great guitar solo moments within 72 Seasons, within Screaming Suicide, in my opinion, but other stuff you had to wait for the album to drop to hear. Oh, he had a great solo in Crown of Barbed Wire. He had a great solo for Inamorata. He had a great solo for You Must Burn. Like, he had great guitar solos. It was just you had to wait for the rest of the release. I think what really stood out to me in terms of this album as well was James's vocals and his lyrical content. He really was opening up a lot more. Now, he's opened up in the past in terms of certain songs and really letting his emotions and letting out some, James Hetfield feelings. But I really felt that he was really diving into some other things, or more in depth to certain things in terms of his emotions, his past, and what he thinks about certain things. And it really felt, pretty impactful, especially Inamorata. Like, that's the one that I think he really set the bar. And I even mentioned this in my Inamorata reaction, that I think that that was his best performance vocal-wise, and I think lyric-wise as well. He has some great moments on other songs, but I think Inamorata is definitely the high point in terms of his vocals and his lyrical content, in my opinion, as I'm, talking after a couple of days of the album being released. Low points of the album in terms of songs overall. To me, there isn't a song that is bad or a song that I'm like, but in terms of the list here of songs, I have the Wikipedia pulled up here of the track listing. Going through, I think the songs I've listened to the least since the album is now fully dropped, and I'm only going to be talking about the songs that are non-singles, because the singles have been out for quite a while. Track number 4, Sleepwalk My Life, not Wife, as I screwed up in my reaction, Sleepwalk My Life Away. It's the one I've listened to the least out of all the songs in terms of the non-singles that I've released with this record. It's not that it's bad, I just really haven't catched on to it yet fully, because I've been going back and listening to Crown of Barbed Wire, Too Far Gone. That's a great, that's really growing on me more and more. You Must Burn, and Shadows Follow. I'm really digging more of that as well. In terms of the ones that are really starting to hit me. But yeah, so Sleepwalk My Life Away, Chasing Light, it's catchy, but I haven't really fully grasped onto that one yet. Room of Mirrors is also one that's kind of growing as well. So, Inamorata, like, that's a whole nother thing entirely. But it's those songs that I hope that will grow. Like, they're not terrible, because as you saw within my reactions to those songs, they were pretty good. But I wasn't like, oh my god, I'm blown away by this. I mean, there's certain parts like, holy crap, but, So we'll see what happens to those. That's what I kind of noticed a Hardwired to Self-Destruct as well for me, is that there were songs on there that hit differently the first time than others, and then others grew over time because you have more time to listen. Because that's what people were commenting for my reactions, saying that, yeah, the first listen I had this stop, and then after like 4 or 5 listens, my viewpoint changed on the song. So that just goes to show how music hits everybody differently. And sometimes you hear a song for the first time, it instantly hits you and it clicks, and you're like, holy crap, like, I'm fully invested in this song now. And there's other times you hear a song, okay, that's good. Like, I've had that experience of Hardwired to Self-Destruct, and now here with 72 Seasons. And then over time, after those videos have been recorded and uploaded, I've had different experience, and I've had more time to think, and for sections and for the song as a whole to grow. And that's what happened here. So as I mentioned, James Hetfield did great on the album as well. I like his variety of vocals that he does, especially Inamorata, that really stood out. Crown of Barbed Wire, the way he says that is so strange, but it works for the song the more you listen to it. Screaming Suicide, even though it's a single, that's a great song to listen to. 72 Seasons is a great opener for him as well in terms of his vocals and everything, and getting you, excited for what's to come. So he has a good variation there. Rob, I'm glad you can hear Rob in the mix a lot, because I feel like Hardwired to Self-Destruct, you can hear him, but especially when you got those headphones on, you really hear those bass moments in 72 Seasons. You really hear those particular things. Of course, that middle section, Inamorata, is a great little moment. But there's some heavy, when the heaviness is really hitting on certain riffs throughout this album, you can really hear Rob's bass, and it's really, really good. As I mentioned with Kirk Hammett, of course, his guitar solos vary. Some are better than others, but I think he did a good job with some other lead parts as well in sections, and the great harmonizing with James is always great. The guitar sound is great. Lars, as I mentioned, I wish there was more variation in his drums, but he, is servicing the songs as he has done in the past, even though I wish it was a little bit more. On my review of Hardwired to Self-Destruct, I did go through each song and talk individually about them. I talked about some a little bit here, but what I'm actually going to do is I'm actually going to be doing a tier list video, a separate video to kind of tier list all the songs after I have a little bit more time listening to them. So I'll be doing that later for you guys and have that up on the channel as a separate video, because I definitely want to do that. But as I was mentioning before, guys, in terms of all the songs that are non-singles that I'm really digging right now, Shadows Fall is really growing on me. Like I said, You Must Burn, great, slow, heavy track. Crown of Barbed Wire, love that title. It still works, a really good song. Too Far Gone is really damn catchy, so good. Inamorata on another level. I love the fact that Inamorata is essentially another fixer. So other people are pointing out to My Friend of Misery. I definitely hear more of that as I listen to the song. People are kind of like, I can't wait to hear Inamorata, your reaction to Inamorata, as I'm recording this before my Inamorata reaction goes out. But like the people that were like saying Inamorata sounds like My Friend in Misery, blah, blah, it's like I can hear that now after the fact, because my first thinking was going in my prediction, 11 minutes long, it's probably going to be like kind of like a Fixer Outlaw Torn, and it was more like a Fixer, My Friend in Misery type thing, but it was really well done. It was so good. It was such a different type of song versus all the other ones, because the other songs had certain structures that Inamorata does have to an extent, but it's so much more longer and there's more things they do with it. That I'm really happy with how it ends. And there's some people saying if this is the final Metallica album, which there's nothing saying this is the final Metallica album, but if it is, that there's a lot of people that are actually happy that Inamorata is the final one, because essentially this is a way to kind of look back on their career and kind of look at how they're structuring the song and how it's kind of paying homage to previous things they've done on previous records, which honestly that's what 72 Seasons and Hardwired to Self-Destruct have kind of been. Death Magnetic was an homage, an homage, a tribute, if you will, to their beginning of the band's career. Death Magnetic, Hardwired to Self-Destruct, and 72 Seasons are both albums that are kind of paying homage to the entire band's discography. So if Inamorata is technically the last song Metallica's ever put out, if this is the final album, which I hope it isn't, Inamorata is a good way to end. But I'm hoping there's more, at least one more at least. So we'll see what happens with that. But 72 Seasons is an album that I think grows, and I think people that are complaining and saying it's terrible or whatever, it is what it is. Music hits everybody differently. For me, this album is one that is really it stands out, and it's one that I think is going to grow over time with the songs and as a whole. And as somebody who's loved Metallica, I really, really dig this album. I love the album overall, I think it's going to grow. It's going to get to the point now where these songs are going to be fully integrated into my brain like all the other ones are. And I hope that they play some of this stuff live when I see them at that M72, whatever it's called, tour where they did 2 shows at a venue, like, not back to back, a day on, day off, and then the second show. So hopefully they play a variety of these at those 2 shows, because I want to hear some. I definitely want to hear Screaming Suicide. They'll play that live. 72 Seasons, 72 Seasons, the song will open up a show. Crown of Barbed Wire, Too Far Gone. I don't know about Inamorata, but I really hope they would at least play that once. But anyways, that's my review. As of right now, that's my review essentially of the album. It has some weaker moments, but overall, it's a damn good Metallica album, and I had a good time with it, and I can't wait to listen to more of it as I'm done recording this video. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Hope you guys enjoyed my review. I will talk to you guys soon. Peace out.